Interior designer to America's hip-hop royalty, corporate giants, and America's elite, Courtney Sloan's company, Alternative Design, hit the big time by blazing a trail instead of following the trends.
Very rich now with the mahogany striping down. It looks great.
I was really hell-bent on never doing the same thing twice.
As Courtney racked up one famous client after another, American mainstream media started to pay attention. Spreads on her designs for Queen Latifah, P. Diddy, Sony, Vibe, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum appeared in glossy mags like Elle, HC&G Magazine, and New York Magazine.
The way doctors with their white coat can keep you at bay so you don't ask questions. Courtney takes off the white coat and she says, here's this product, here's how it's designed, this is why it's good design.
I can't wait to see it. We'll go out there tomorrow.
But Courtney's first success was in high school, where in her final year, she was offered a basketball scholarship. One that might well have led her on the fast track out of Jersey City, her down-at-the-heels hometown.
Yeah, deciding to move in a different direction and give the scholarship up was a pretty big decision.
Closing the door on basketball created a big hole in Courtney's life.
It weighed in heavily in some sense, but I was young, and I was hopeful and just full with possibilities.
Courtney didn't have to have basketball. Academically, she was great. Socially, she was great. I just knew she was going to make it.
But Courtney had an unclear idea of what she wanted to study in college. She ended up in the marketing program at Rutgers University, but interior design was still what she turned to for fun.
I think at that time, the notion of design sort of crossed my mind, but it wasn't absolutely clear and sort of present for me.
It was the 80s, and at that time there were no African-American role models working in the design world. But Courtney was an innovator and used interior design as her personal form of expression in a way that jived with the newly emerging world of hip-hop.
Courtney had a fantastic place in college. Immediately made her a college elite.
Our room was the most happening room on campus, how it was decorated, laid out. Other students would come up, wow, could you help me with my room? So I was always that girl.
She became this kind of college campus Black Martha Stewart chick.
After 4 years of university, Courtney accepted a recruiter's offer of a full-time job straight out of college, a real coup at the time.
She landed this fabulous job at JCPenney, which was kind of crazy.
I was psyched, or at least I should have been psyched. What I found was they'd always be looking for me because I was upstairs in the visual merchandising department. I just knew it wasn't right for me. I was just really unhappy. I felt like I was just meant to do more.
Courtney had lasted only 18 months at JCPenney. She knew marketing wasn't her niche, but an ad in a local newspaper became the stepping stone that would lead Courtney into the glamorous world of interior design.
I come across this job and it says, looking for a strange breed of people to work with, materials and designers, architects.
She applied for the job, and all of a sudden she's this regional sales rep for Formica.
You know, that job was for me. I'll tell you, from the minute I read it in the newspaper, I owned it.
Oh, please, let's go back to Formica. She had a car, honey, phone, everything. She had the whole 9 yards.
At Formica, Courtney started learning the ropes from the architects and designers who became her mentors.
At this point, it was pretty crystal clear to me that I wanted to be in the design business.
The penny had dropped. Courtney now had a clear goal and was fully entrenched in the world of design. Courtney knew she had to take the next big step and start her own business. Alternative Design was born.
I can't think offhand of any Black designer at the time, so she didn't know what the hell she was doing or how to even approach it.
I had fears, and I had a lot of questions.
Courtney began to showcase furniture designs she'd created using Formica-made materials in a loft she shared with friends.
So I created these pieces. They were more sort of sculptural, and we all came up with this idea to have this more of a salon kind of environment, a place where people could kind of come and meet and greet and have art more as the backdrop.
A random flyer for the Jersey City Salon caught the attention of another African-American up-and-comer who also lived in Jersey City.
That was how I had met Queen Latifah, because she came to one of these brunches. When we met, she saw the piece and she was like, wow, this is great. You know, when I blow up, I'm gonna call you, I'm gonna hire you to be my designer, design some furniture for me. So of course I was like, wow, that would be wonderful.
Sure enough, Latifah's career went through the roof.
And I get a call from Latifah's mom saying, well, you know, my daughter tells me she met you and we just bought a new house and we need a designer. And I thought, wow, how perfect is this?
Courtney's design work for Latifah got noticed by other hip-hop stars, and she quickly became the buzz in the East Coast hip-hop world. Even Vibe magazine had heard of her.
A lot of people just start throwing her name out. Who's this Courtney Sloan? Who's this Courtney Sloan?
So I just very quickly, through word of mouth, began to get this rash of all these different projects with a lot of the sort of young hip-hop artists with this great sense of excitement, and much like me, anything's possible.
Courtney's jump into mainstream awareness was helped immensely by a feature article in Harper's Bazaar.
When the Harper's Bazaar article came out, it was unbelievable.
Coming up.
Many years ago, I was sort of young and a lot more fearful. It was scary, but I really never let that get in my way.
When Women on Top returns. For Manhattan's ultra-rich and famous, Courtney Sloan is the go-to interior designer. Courtney is the owner of the hugely successful Alternative Design, a multidisciplinary design studio that specializes in environments, visuals, and big ideas.
The life of a designer. Every single thing matters. Everything counts.
She just absorbs what her challenges are, and she seamlessly proceeds with this gracefulness and this charm and this intelligence that makes her irresistible to everybody.
Style maven Wendy Goodman's article in Harper's Bazaar about Courtney's design for Vibe's head office was her big introduction to the world. For the first time, her work was on display for a mainstream audience. It gave Courtney the credibility she needed.
Being acknowledged for a body of work, but more importantly, by someone like a Wendy Goodman, was just unreal. It was almost like a storybook.
Her career just exploded from there. Jobs designing the BET head office, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum, and Ichi store. Sony came knocking with an offer to design their Manhattan recording studios. Soon enough, even America's Next Top Model came calling.
Those jobs are very fast-paced. I love those because they really, really keep you on your feet. You really have to make decisions very quickly and be really decisive around what you're doing.
I was looking at this one for the office.
But leaving the hip-hop world behind exposed her to new challenges.
She's an African-American woman making great moves, so unfortunately her resume isn't always going to speak for her. So when she walks in that room, she's got to be able to overcome what she can or cannot do.
I think we're in a good place.
And Courtney Sloan is helping to spearhead the change at every level.
It is primarily a male-dominated profession. That's changing really quickly.
Kind of block up against the wall.
Build a leg clear.
Mr. Email.
Being a woman of color in the design business, it feels wonderful. Had you asked me that question many years ago, I was sort of young and a lot more fearful. It was scary, but I really never let that get in my way.
Success has enabled Courtney to work on her own glamorous terms.
Yeah, life does seem glamorous, and the reality is, quite frankly, it is very glamorous. But I think you have to grab it and be present to it and live it in the moment.
And live it she does. Along the way, this Jersey girl met a woman who shares her passions, her success, and now her life.
I really think Cheryl is just brilliant, and I don't say that because she is my wife. She is also an artist and a designer, and it works out beautifully because we live a really, really wonderful life of design and art.
There is a oneness and there's no ambiguity about who they are.
We don't get bored. She can talk about color, design, furniture, a chair all day long, and I find it fascinating.
I'm really committed to that table, like the Renaissance writing table.
I think Courtney sees herself as the rainbow of possibilities.
But helming a successful company and having a fantastic marriage isn't enough for Courtney Sloan. She takes enormous time and energy to mentor the next generation.
You may find another clean copy, but if not, Arnita has a copy of it. I think being a mentor is extremely, extremely important.
She didn't have any children by choice, so that frees her up to be able to give in those increments to other people.
When I first moved to New York, nobody was giving me an opportunity. And she was the first person to give me an opportunity.
What do you think?
Oh, I like it. I like this one.
She's an incredible role model, not just for an African-American woman, but for women in general.
I think it's one of the best gifts that you could give is yourself and your time, which is such a commodity because we have so little of it. And I think that gift in and of itself really weighs in heavily because it could totally, completely just change the course of someone's life.
Changing one person's life is no longer enough for Courtney Sloan. She now wants to bring change to the whole of Jersey City, her hometown. Coming up.
Do not be afraid to just step outside of your comfort zone and explore.
When Women on Top returns.